Hello, friend. I'm Shane Vozar, the creator of Mormozine and Helpful Hillbilly. And I recorded this movie, and I think it'll really help you. It has lots of great marketing knowledge about that you can apply to your online business or your online side hustle. So put this on and just relax. Maybe have it on in the background. Maybe put it on as you're going to sleep. But if you watch it all the way through, I guarantee you will learn something that will help your business, your online business, and your side hustle and everything. So thanks so much. And there's a link in the description to where you can find more trainings like this and more programs and stuff. And so at any time, feel free to click the link in the description. And thanks so much. Keep watching. Keep watching. When it comes to starting and growing an online business, we tend to learn from those who have gone before us. We tend to stay on the beaten path and take lessons from the same places that others have taken lessons from. It's safe. It's the known variable. But it's also hard to stand out when everything you learn comes from the same place everyone else has learned. You all start to look like a copy of a copy of a copy. But I found that oftentimes some of the best lessons you will ever learn come when you think outside the box. When you take a look up and then take a look down the tried and true path. But then take a look into the distance. You see something there. Experiences to be had, lessons to be learned, but they are places that you can only get to by stepping off the well-trodden path. In this movie, I'm going to invite you to take a step off that beaten path with me. We're going to be traveling to the crazy world of video games. There are lessons to be had there, takeaways that you might not get otherwise. So if you're open-minded, strong of heart, and adventurous of spirit, we are stepping off the beaten path, exploring new worlds in search of valuable lessons. Let's do this. And be sure and watch this movie all the way through and keep watching. Elden Ring is an action role-playing game from a company called From Software. In Elden Ring, the world is known as the Lands Between, and once these lands were a realm of immortality and peace, sustained by the Elden Ring's magic and overseen by powerful demigods like Queen Marika. However, long ago there was a conflict that led to chaos and the shattering of the Elden Ring. Your job as the player is to traverse the realm to repair the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord. This is a great game. It's a game that drags you into a punishing world where most things are stronger than you and seek to kill you. In fact, every single From Software game has this one defining feature. It's almost like a calling card or a signature. From Software does not make easy games. They don't make games with gentle learning curves or games that are designed to hold your hand and gradually bring you up to speed. They make these brutal games that will absolutely destroy you over and over and over again until you get good enough to win. And it's frustrating for people because the graphics and the amount of care that goes into their games is so exceptional that people want to be good at these games. They want to enjoy these games. But these games are not for everyone. Even though everyone can admire the beauty of them, not everyone can be good at them. They frustrate people. Some people don't like to die over and over and over again. Imagine that, right? Some people don't like to be challenged to get better. But there is a solid and defined group of people out there that revel in the challenge. They don't play from software games because they're easy. They play them because they are difficult. These people seek out the challenge. I bring it up because there is an important lesson to be learned here from this game company. Find your target market and cater to them only. Don't be concerned with the whiners. Don't be concerned with those crying about a lack of diversity and or inclusion. Everyone's got an opinion, and most of those opinions are wrong. The fact of the matter is, strong online businesses are built on the back of exclusivity. When someone makes a good product, charges an outlandish price that 98% of the population cannot afford, they're telling you something. They're screaming from the rooftops. We made this product for a certain group of people. While most may balk at our price, some will be attracted to our product because of our price. This is the people we are looking to sell to. It could be a price, it could be a limited quantity, it could be a level of difficulty in a video game. There are many ways you could do it. However, when you focus on exclusivity, you're going to be able to charge higher prices and grow a very loyal following for your brand. Elden Ring was released in 2022 and has sold well over 23 million copies. It is difficult and exceptional. Take a page out of the From Software playbook. Think about the very specific market of people you want to serve. Practice being exclusive just for them and ways to repel everyone else. That's it for this segment. I'll see you next lesson from another unlikely source as we dive deeper into the world of video games. Have you ever watched a movie and loved it so much that you went on to watch all the special features, deleted scenes, and extras? Have you ever grown so curious about a particular subject that you spent hours watching documentaries about it? Or combing YouTube for video clips? There was a game published by Square Enix several years ago that affected a friend of mine like that. Sleeping Dogs is an action-adventure game. It takes place in a fictional version of Hong Kong. It's one of those open-world style games where you can walk around and talk to people. It's not so linear and allows you to just move in whichever way you feel like, as far as letting the story and the game play out. In Sleeping Dogs, you play an undercover police officer on a mission to infiltrate the Triad, a criminal gang in Hong Kong. And what happened with my friend was the game was so well done that he just enjoyed walking around within the game world. It made him more curious about what Hong Kong was actually like. It was a place that he never really cared or thought about before, but the world of Sleeping Dogs was so immersive and captivating that he just wanted to learn more about this environment. It's a great game, but there's a message to be learned here about the subject of world building. In your online business, consider thinking about it more like a world or a kingdom in which everyone involved plays a part and you are the ruler. From the type of products that you put out to the way that you communicate with your following, all the way to even the rules that you set in place for how you want to do business. For example, no refunds or I don't answer emails outside of business hours, etc. All of it is part of the world that you are building. World building can be very powerful because it creates a lot of brand loyalty. It helps to cultivate a unique identity for your business and one that people cannot easily replace with something else. It's also not something that can be taught in a step-by-step, paint-by-numbers kind of way. There's an intangible element to it. But I can tell you that it starts with the idea of thinking about your business more like a world or a universe or a kingdom and less like a simple business. When they made Sleeping Dogs, it's obvious that as you walk down the streets in the game, they absolutely wanted you to feel like you were walking down the street in Hong Kong. They wanted you to be there, be immersed in the environment. You can create similar scenarios in your business. Start by combing through your movie collection or your music library. Consider records or movies that you love so much you didn't want to be done with them. So much so that you sought out knowledge about them after consuming the content. Ask yourself why those things were special. Ask yourself why you were not ready to leave the world of that particular content after it was over. In these questions lie the key to your own brand of world building, your own Sleeping Dog scenario. And that's it for this lesson. Next, I'll have another message for you. Until then, keep an open mind and consider what your take on world building might be. Fortnite is a highly popular online multiplayer battle royale game developed and published by Epic Games. It's got colorful graphics, unique building mechanics, and they update it early and often. It features various game modes, but at the heart of it is the Battle Royale. This is where players fight each other on an island to be the last one standing. The game is free to download, and you might think, well, if it's free to download, how the heck do they make any money? Fortnite has an in-game currency called V-Bucks. You can use this currency to buy new characters to play as, new accessories, new background music, and the list goes on. All this stuff that you can buy is basically cosmetic in nature. And that's important because they really go out of their way to treat Fortnite like a sport. They want every match to be fair. Let's take a look at the economy of this game because in that lies the beginning of the lesson I want to pull from it. V-Bucks cost about $8.99 US dollars for 1,000 V-Bucks. And as an example of how much things cost in the game and how far your V-Bucks stretch, the characters you can buy, which are actually called outfits, generally go for around 1,500 V-Bucks. That's a simple average. Fortnite has become a cultural phenomenon. It has attracted millions of players worldwide and earned billions in revenue. They do licensing deals with movies, video games, musical artists, and generally just about anything within pop culture. But the lesson that I want to pull out of Fortnite today centers around that of scarcity and expense. Fortnite never leaves its assets in the shop for very long. Assets being outfits, accessories, songs, emotes, anything that you can buy basically. Things will be there for a few days and then they'll be gone. You might not see that particular thing again for a year, and that presents a real air of scarcity. This feeling that if you want it, you better buy it because tomorrow it might be gone. This scarcity helps drive sales inside the Fortnite ecosystem. Another thing is the expense of V-Bucks. They're not really cheap. And from what I've seen, Fortnite is pretty unyielding on the cost of V-Bucks. What this does is establish a sense of value with the digital assets inside the ecosystem. They have a higher perceived value because Fortnite rarely lowers the price on those V-Bucks. The third component that contributes greatly to Fortnite's success is their unwavering commitment to regular updates. They have a system. Essentially, they have one new chapter a year. A new island to fight on is presented in that chapter. Of course, the old island is taken away, only one at a time in true Fortnite fashion. This is scarcity with there's scarcity with everything. Within that chapter will be 4 seasons. A season lasts about 3 months. Every season, a story in Fortnite advances, bringing with it minor changes to the island. New mechanics to the game, new guns, new this and new that. The players know that these seasons are coming and they'll know it's going to end with a huge chapter change around the end of the year. Epic promotes these changes and builds anticipation around them. There's lessons to be had here for your online business. Let's break them down. 1. Scarcity. Fortnite does not leave things in its shop. It rotates them. That presents a lot of scarcity, and it's something that you can easily replicate in your business. 2. Exclusive economy. Fortnite controls the perceived value of its assets in-game by controlling the price of its V-Bucks. You can do the same thing in your business by controlling how much you charge for your products and services. Don't lean so heavy into ridiculously discounted prices on your goods. The fact of the matter is, whatever is the lowest amount that you've charged for a product, that is a perceived value to the consumer. If they've seen it go that low, then that's what they feel like it's worth. 3. Respect new. People are always looking for a new thing. Fortnite has put on a schedule, and in doing so, they've created a built-in anticipation from people. Sure, they can promote the changes coming, but people already know the changes are coming because it's on a schedule. You can put product releases and updates on your schedule in your business as well. It's going to train your customers to anticipate it and look forward to new changes coming, new content being added, or any other interesting things that you might have going on in your business. You'll see this playing out in membership sites where content is being added every single month. So that's Fortnite, a video game that is free to play, yet raking in billions. Take these lessons to heart and keep watching. Now I want to dig even further into the world of Fortnite. I mentioned previously, just to reiterate, This game has multiple game modes. They call these experiences. On April 7th, 2022, Epic Games and Lego Group announced a partnership aiming to create a metaverse tailored for younger audiences. Lego's parent company invested $1 billion into Epic Games as part of the collaboration. The result, Lego Fortnite launched on December 20th, 2023 to resounding popularity. Everyone was interested in this new mode of Fortnite. Everybody wanted to be a part of it, and for a little while, Lego Fortnite was even more popular than Battle Royale, which is almost unheard of in the land of Fortnite. Lego Fortnite was not like Battle Royale. It was something different. Without going into specifics of what Lego Fortnite is and how it's different from Battle Royale, I want to touch on the heart of the lesson with this email. The thing that stands out about the launch of Lego Fortnite is that everyone wanted to be there. There's something about being part of a thing at the beginning. It's the reason why people camp outside of movie theaters for famous movie premieres, or stand outside of department stores for hours in anticipation of a new video game console release. Even as I say this, there is a thriving subreddit for Lego Fortnite. Hundreds of comments a day talking about this latest experience within the game of Fortnite. It's new, it's exciting. People love the idea of being there at the beginning. That's something you can lean into heavily with your marketing, and there are many ways you can accomplish it. Here are a few. 1. First edition runs. This is similar with print book releases, but you could use a similar strategy with any kind of product. The key is to differentiate the first edition from everything that comes after it. Maybe it's got an extra chapter or module. Maybe it's got special features or special bonuses. This appeals to people's sense of collectability. They want the whole thing. Some people can't stand that there's another part of something that they don't have, like the deleted scenes in a movie. 2. Price. You can launch your product at a launch price special. Maybe it would be half off for the first 4 days of the launch, and then go into its normal price. That's the kind of thing that inspires people to want to get there and be a part of it in the beginning. This appeals to people's sense of economy. Some people hate the idea of paying more for something when they can pay less if they only get there early. 3. Community. Being a part of the beginning of something is exciting. If you can create some kind of Facebook group or a forum or a subreddit or other way for all people who were there first to communicate with each other, this can be a way to keep the energy surrounding your launch going. Build legend around the product, probably get you some testimonials and even some great feedback. Allow your customers to network with each other, and they will always remember how those relationships got formed, thus adding more legend to your product. We could go on, but this lesson is getting a little long, and I think that you get the idea. Allowing people to be there at the beginning of something and differentiating that beginning from everything that comes after is very powerful and will generate more sales for you, as well as building sustainability from your products and your business. That's all for this lesson. Keep watching for more lessons from the land of video games. Fallout 3 is an action role-playing open-world game developed by Bethesda Game Studios. It's set in a post-apocalyptic version of Washington, D.C. It's one of those games where you can pretty much go anywhere and do anything you want. Sure, there's a main storyline to follow, but there's so many side quests and adventures unrelated to that main storyline that it's pretty easy to get lost in the depth of the game. All of them really just existing to deepen your immersion into the world of Fallout, give you a greater appreciation of that world and the history surrounding it. But I want to talk about the heart of Fallout 3, because in that heart lies the lesson I want to give you as it relates to online business. At the heart of the Fallout franchise is its alternate history. You see, in the world of Fallout, they never advanced past the 1950s. They embraced atomic energy and nuclear power, and it's being used for everything from microwaves and televisions to cars, and everything else you can imagine that would use power of some kind. The problem is sometime during this alternative history, all hell broke loose like it does, LOL. Things went bad and everything pretty much got nuked. The world you are introduced to in Fallout 3 is a dystopian wasteland, complete with giant bugs, mutants, rickety cities made from old aircraft carriers, and everything else you might expect from some post-nuclear war world. And scattered all over this world are remnants of days gone by from Fallout's alternative history. You never get to see what the world was like back then, but only experience it through this lens of devastation that you are thrust into with the game. There's some who escape nuclear catastrophes by surviving in these giant underground vaults, and at the time of the start of Fallout 3, about 300 years have passed since the bomb destroyed everything. So we're talking about a few generations of people growing up underground in these vaults. In fact, the character you play starts out as a baby in one of these underground vaults, and then as the story progresses, you grow up and make your way to the surface. That's Fallout 3. But as I said before, the heart of the game and all of the Fallout games is that alternate history. It creates a novelty around the games. There's a feeling like something happened a long time ago and you're trying to figure out exactly what the world used to be like while you're moving forward in the world the way it is now. But novelty is very powerful. Fallout does it with alternative history, and it used that novelty as a unique selling position for the entire franchise, which is very, very successful. You can use novelty in your marketing as well to differentiate yourself, grab people's attention, and quite frankly, make a lot more money. Fallout is using a simple premise. What if? Have you ever seen a successful online marketer sell a product with the premise of, what if I lost everything today and had nothing? How would I start over from scratch? That's a what if scenario. The entire Fallout 3 game and series of Fallout games, for that matter, are all based on a what if scenario. It's novel, and it's an effective way to approach problem solving. The reason is because it stands out a little bit more than a simple how to. Consider this: instead of a 10-step guide to changing your oil, what about how I would change my oil if I've never done it before in my life and I have the intelligence of a fifth grader? You can see how the second one gets attention a little bit more because it's intriguing. It creates novelty by presenting this sort of imaginary scenario where you can not only remove all your experience, but you're also removing what you might deem to be an average adult intelligence. That would make people think they might be able to do it. They think, if it's written for a fifth grader, then I should be able to handle it too. And it all starts by looking for a bit of novelty. What if scenarios are one way to do that? To me, that's a really big lesson from Fallout. We're talking about an entire franchise, multiple games created, billions of dollars made, all centered around asking one simple question: what if the world kept embracing atomic energy and never moved past the 1950s? Again, like I demonstrated here in this email, it's something that you can easily replicate in your online business. So think about some of the things you might do and some of the interesting what if questions you might be able to ask to help the people in your market. You're probably going to be pretty surprised at the list you can come up with. That's all for this lesson. Keep watching for another important lesson from the land of video games. Guild Wars is a computer game that came out in 2005. So at this point, it's safe to say it's a fairly older game. And that's important, so make a mental note. It's an online role-playing game developed by this company called ArenaNet. And if you want to imagine what the world of Guild Wars is like, I'll tell you it's similar to Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. There's magic and swords. There are no guns. And of course, there's evil and monsters. So it's high fantasy. Guild Wars has this very unique beginning. They wanted a way to help people get a feel for the game before they release them into the wide open actual game. They wanted a tutorial area, so to speak. So what they did was create this event called the Searing. Now when you think Searing, just think of it like a giant atomic bomb that goes off, except this one uses magic and monsters instead of technology. So anyway, in Guild War, when you start the game, you're in this phase of the world called pre-Searing, and it's nice there compared to what's to come. The grass is green, the monsters aren't too plentiful, there's friendly creatures, the castle where you begin is intact, and the world is just beautiful. The world makes sense. Now ArenaNet, as I said, used pre-Searing as sort of a tutorial area for new players to get introduced to the world of Guild Wars. The first 5 levels are spent in pre-Searing, and then the game story advances, the Searing happens, aka a giant bomb wrecks the whole place, and the true game of Guild Wars begins. Now keep in mind that in this game that you decide when you're ready to leave pre-Searing. You can hang around there as long as you like, but once you do leave, you can never go back to pre-Searing. So in Guild Wars, what is happening is that you actually first get to experience the world before this big bomb happens. and then the majority of the game you're experiencing the world after this bomb happens. The green grass that you experience for the first 5 levels has turned into a desert wasteland. The beautiful castle that you were introduced to at the beginning of the game has been wrecked. Anyone who has ever played Guild Wars is going to find themselves at some point wishing the world was back to the way it was before the Syrian. In fact, you can still play Guild Wars to this day, and when you do, you're going to find an active community of people who never leave pre-Syrian. It's kind of a strange phenomenon. For example, the highest level you can achieve in Guild Wars is level 20. However, the game wasn't really designed for you to be able to achieve level 20 in pre-Syrian. There are only so many quests that offer experience, and the monsters aren't really challenging enough to advance your level. However, when there's a will, there's a way. And don't you know that people found ways to advance their character to level 20 in pre-Syrian? Now, why does this matter? Why should any of us care about this outdated game or these weirdos who want to stay in the tutorial area, never bothering to experience 95% of the real game? It matters because what Guild Wars has done here is manufacture nostalgia by having people experience what the world was like before the main game begins, and then creating the scenario where you can't come back once you leave this version of the world. It inherently makes players desire that which they cannot have. It makes them nostalgic for a past version of where they are now. It's ingrained in all of us to desire that which we cannot have. That's why scarcity works. And that's also at the heart of why people can be so nostalgic. You can't go back to the past. Once it's gone, it's gone. Now, of course, in your marketing, you can create scarcity. But what about nostalgia? That's what it was, playing Guild Wars. People wanting to experience something that they can no longer experience. The past. You can do that with your online business as well. One of the biggest tools that you can use to create nostalgia over time is simple retirement of products. When you retire your products, you take them off the market and you essentially create a pre-searing scenario. This creates options for you. Now, at any point in the future, you could bring that product out of retirement for a limited time, and that is 100% manufactured nostalgia. You can even update the product for the times, but I'd be sure to keep all updates separate from the original, so people can go back and experience exactly what the thing was when you released it. Nostalgia can be powerful. Powerful enough to have a bunch of old school gamers still hanging out in a 20-year-old video game just enjoying the tutorial area. Using simple retirement, you can manufacture the same kind of nostalgia for your products and services. I say let nothing stay on the market as an evergreen product. Retire them ruthlessly and without prejudice, all for the love of nostalgia and options. That's all for this lesson. Think about how you might be able to incorporate some of these lessons in your online business, and keep watching. I have something I need to ask you, but I'll save it for the next lesson. It has been an interesting movie so far because we've approached the world of online business and marketing from a strange place. It is unorthodox and outside the box to pull marketing lessons from video games. But as I said to you in the beginning of this movie, I think some of our best lessons come from the strangest of places. But now I have a question for you. I want you to be sure to reply to this question because I really think that your answer is going to help me and you. Your answers are going to help shape my future content. Here's the question. Which of the lessons and insights that I've given you so far have been the most impactful? If you would allow me one secondary question, I would ask, are you watching this movie as someone who is also a fan of video games, or someone who doesn't really care that much about video games but is thankful to be getting insights from a different perspective? Can't wait to read your responses. Be sure to leave a comment below this video and let me know what you think. Also, I want you to know we're only about halfway through this movie on insights from video games, so be sure to keep watching and just generally pay attention because I want you to get as much value as possible. So earlier in this movie, we were talking about Guild Wars and how that game manufactured nostalgia. In the case of Guild Wars, they did it to give people a sense of history about the world and immerse them further in it. Today, I want to further that discussion on nostalgia and talk about using it in a different way. Exile Kingdoms is an indie role-playing game developed by 4Dimension Games. Think high fantasy, Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones style. This one's set in an open-ended world and features non-linear gameplay. Well, that means you can pretty much go wherever you want and do things however you want. Yes, there's a story that unfolds as you proceed through the game, but it doesn't stop you from going to specific areas even long before you're strong enough to be there. Anyways, all that is well and good, but none of that is the reason we're talking about Exiled Kingdoms today. The thing about Exiled Kingdoms that it was designed as a retro game. It has the look and feel of a video game from the 90s. It's got this over-the-head viewpoint that was commonly used on RPGs back then. No fancy 3D graphics or immersive environments here. This is straight 2D over-the-head RPG goodness right out of 1995. Except that this did not come out in 1995. It was released in 2015. You might think, why would a company release a game with these outdated graphics when they have so many tools at their disposal in 2015? The answer is simple: nostalgia. They remember that style of game, like that style of game, and were banking on the fact that if they released one like that, other people would like it as well. And the whole thing is built around nostalgia. Doing things the way people used to do things instead of the way people do things now in any market or niche can produce automatic nostalgia. This is another way to use nostalgia to attract people to your product or service. In the case of Guild Wars, the game took you into the past and let you experience it so that you would have nostalgia for it once it was over. It's something you can repeat in your business. In the case of Exile Kingdoms, nostalgia is created by using older graphics and game styles. That's going to attract a certain target market. They remember when those graphics and game styles were popular, and they remember the good times they had with the games that use them. Again, you can do the same thing with your products and services. You can change the marketing you use to match that of days gone by. You can change your aesthetics on sales page and or the way you approach your sales letter. You can change the style and medium that you use for your products and services in an effort to bring people back to an earlier time and attract them to your business with the nostalgia factor. For example, as I am recording this, very few people are putting out audio products currently. Even fewer are releasing audio products on CD. It's something from the past. Most people have moved on to video products. Most people have moved on to digital delivery. Another example would be the print newsletter. 20 years ago, these were all the rage. Now, few marketers do them. If you look into the past and find ways to adopt some of those strategies in the present, you can garner attention by harnessing the power of nostalgia. Consider how you can take advantage of this strategy in your business. That's all for this lesson. I'll see you next with another lesson from the world of video games. Keep watching. Forza Horizon is a racing game. It's got stunning graphics, arcade-like driving mechanics, and many different styles of cars to choose from. But the thing is, Forza Horizon is a little different from your typical racing game. It borrows from a different genre of video games, that of the RPG, role-playing game. In Forza Horizon, you don't just select various tracks to race on. Instead, you've been invited to this festival in Colorado. So the whole game is you driving around Colorado, participating in various events for this festival, testing out different cars, meeting people, and advancing the main storyline forward. You're a participant in this event, and it feels like that too. Whereas most racing games, they feel fairly one-dimensional, this one is different. Sure, you can drive around Colorado exploring the festival as you want and never really advance the main storyline. There are side quests and plenty of races and events that you can enter just for fun. And the game is just an all-around good time. But the heart of this game, in my opinion, the reason why it's so successful and why it works so well and why it's so fun is it's because it's not just a racing game. It's one big environment that you're driving around in, and it's immersive. It takes those ideas and principles from the role-playing game genre. So at the heart of it, Forza Horizon asked, what can we take from another genre that would be typical in that genre, but novel to our genre of video game? They took known tactics and styles from somewhere else outside of their niche and applied those to what they do, creating something different. You can do the same thing with your business and marketing. Think about what Uber did. They took the traditional taxi cab company and applied a gig economy to it. Neither of those ideas were new, and when they combined them together, they created something new. It's the same thing Forza Horizon did with the racing game. It's the same thing that you could do. And you can do it with 3 simple steps. Step 1, look outside your niche and into other markets to see how they do things differently than what is done in your space. Step 2, ask yourself the question, can any of these tactics or strategies be applied to my market? Can I combine some of these strategies and tactics with some of the stuff I already do to create something new? Step 3, take a chance and don't be afraid to fail. It's never going to be perfect when you're trying new things. It's about taking chances and adjusting. So that's the big takeaway from Forza Horizon today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about a really weird game. It's one that defines all sense of logic and reason, but there's an important lesson to be pulled from it. In the meantime, think about how you can pull strategies and tactics from other markets and apply them to what you do to create something new. Keep watching. In all the world, few things grab attention like a great gimmick. But sometimes a gimmick can be so powerful that it becomes a foundation for an entire product, service, or even company. Sometimes it's not just about getting attention. Sometimes a great gimmick can change the way people look at something. It can make your product or service extremely unique, unlike anything people have ever seen. That's how it is with the game called Superliminal by Pillow Castle Games. The game is hard to describe. At the heart of it, it's a puzzle game. Players solve perspective-based puzzles to progress through the game. The game really plays with this idea of forced perspective. Sometimes things will look like they're further away, but really they're just smaller. Other times things will look very big, but really they're just very close. This game's like a who's who of forced perspective tricks and tactics. It's almost like when they made it, they asked themselves the question, how can we use every trick in the forced perspective handbook to make this the weirdest, most interesting, unique game ever? But again, at the heart of Superliminal is the idea of using forced perspective as a centerpiece in a video game. Forced perspective is a gimmick. It's been used for a long time in Hollywood for movie special effects, and was used before that by magicians for illusions. So it's very much a gimmick, and there's nothing wrong with that. Gimmicks get attention. But also, as you can see in the case of Superliminal, gimmicks can also become a centerpiece to make your product or service extremely unique. Think about the Chuck E. Cheese restaurant franchise. Back in the 80s, their gimmick was those animatronic robots. It was just a way to get people in the door and to get attention. People were fascinated by robots and animatronics in the 80s, but those Chuck E. Cheese animatronics became something more. They became part of the identity of the restaurant chain. They became the centerpiece. Another example, Pringles potato chips. Released in 1968 and not in a bag but in a tube with a resealable lid. The tube and the shape of the chips were a gimmick. However, this gimmick came to define the iconic brand of potato chips. The whole brand was basically built around the tube and the shape of the chips. But gimmicks aren't just limited to video games, restaurants, and potato chips. You can use similar strategies in your business and with your products and services. What if you were in the info product business and you only released your info products on a branded USB drive? When people bought them from you, they were shipped to them in the mail on a USB drive. A simple idea and a gimmick for sure, but it could definitely get attention and might just become the foundation of what your business is known for. That's simply utilizing a different delivery mechanism. But what else could you do to stand out in your business? What other kind of gimmicks might you incorporate that are so powerful they come to define your entire product line? Only you can know for sure, but I hope this lesson has given you some ideas and insights on how you might make something like that happen. That's all for this lesson. Keep watching for another insight from the least likely of sources. Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins are part of the classic series of platform games called Rayman. Now, if you don't know what platform games are, just think Super Mario Brothers. It's generally a side-scrolling adventure where you're jumping, climbing, collecting rings or coins or stars or whatever else, and rescuing princesses and turtles, lol. Rayman Origins is a prequel to the original Rayman game and focuses on Rayman's origins and the revival of the Glade of Dreams. I won't get into the story too much because it's not particularly relevant to this movie. But for your information, the Glade of Dreams is the world in which the games takes place. Rayman Legends, on the other hand, continues the series with more levels, characters, and challenges. These two games feel like they are basically part 1 and part 2 of a series unto themselves. They're colorful, imaginative, and fun. With these games, it's almost like Ubisoft, the company that makes the Rayman series, wanted to take the best aspects of all the amazing platform games that have come before Rayman and combine them into this all-star creation of game mechanics, artwork, and charm. Rayman unapologetically rips off some of the best platform games of all time. However, it does it in a way where it's almost like you can hear them asking the question, we love that part in that one game where it does this, how could we do that even better? That's Rayman Origins and Legends, a culmination of all the great platform games that have gone before them. They actually improve a lot of those elements, and in that lies the key to these two games' success. But the idea of taking something others have done and asking yourself how you might be able to improve upon it or do your own version of it is a proven way to success. This is something that you can replicate in your own business. Think of the aspects of products and services over the years that you have enjoyed that have been very helpful to you. Imagine how you might do your own version of such a product and how you might improve upon those aspects. Example, think about all the streaming services that were inspired by Netflix. Services like HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Hulu, etc. all came about because Netflix led the field with a new technology that inspired them. Every one of them looked at Netflix and imagined, how might we do our own version of that, but a little different and unique to us? Another example of this, Monopoly, a game that has found itself in the public domain. But think about it, how many people or companies have done their own version of Monopoly? Many. How many more have tried to put their own unique twist on Monopoly and release it as something else entirely? I'm talking to you, Catan, Game of Life, and Ticket to Ride. Anyways, you can do the same thing in your business. Look around and see what has inspired you. Think about how you might improve upon or do your own version of it. Now keep watching. Dragon Age Origins is a role playing game developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. It was released in 2009, and many say that it is one of the best role playing games of all time. It's set in the fictional kingdom of Ferelden. Think Dungeons and Dragons, complete with wizards, warriors, monsters, and you guessed it, dragons. The reason it's called Origins is because there are 6 unique origin stories that you can choose to take. You always end up becoming something called a Grey Warden, and you always end up in a quest to save the world from something called the Blight. However, the path you take to become a Grey Warden is different depending on the role you choose to play. The game has a deep story, complex characters, and strategic combat. It's evident as you play through that there were true love put into this game. When they made it, they weren't just making it for a paycheck. It's quite obvious that a lot of attention and care went into it, and people see it. Again, it's regarded as one of the best games of all time. This game is epic in scale, has multiple main characters with backstories unique to them, and can completely wrap you up in its lore and story. To sum it up in a phrase, Dragon Age Origins went the extra mile to produce an exceptional product. It's almost a lost art in this day and age of trying to find ways to automate what to do and use artificial intelligence to replace some of the very things that made your product or service unique. But the truth is, anyone can take a page out of the playbook of BioWare and go the extra mile with their products and services. Anyone can choose to do it for the love of the game, go the extra mile for the sake of nothing more than creating the exceptional. Generally, what follows when you choose to take this path is more money, because people can recognize the exceptional. It stands out in a world of mediocrity, and it creates its own kind of differentiation. And when you take a step back and look at your business or products and services, do they strike you as exceptional? Do you put things in there not because you had to, but because you wanted to, and were looking to make it better than just mediocre? This brand of going the extra mile can take form in anything from the way you deliver products to the content in the products themselves. But the thing that always comes to mind when you think of a product or service going the extra mile is this idea of doing what others in your space are not doing. In the case of Dragon Age Origins, they didn't just do a complete deep backstory for one main character. They did 6. That's 6 main characters' backstories complete with side characters and storylines that are unique onto that main character. It's really exceptional, and I'm sure it was a lot of hard work. But that's hard work that continues to pay dividends for them today, as the game is still regarded as one of the greatest of all time. So when you're out there creating your products and services, consider going the extra mile. Do a little bit more for the love of the game. People will notice it. There's just one more lesson on this movie on insights from video games, and this one's important, so make sure that you're paying attention as you keep watching. Until then, remember to keep your head up and heart strong. Keep watching. Wow, what a crazy movie this has been. We've talked about everything from Forza Horizon to Exiled Kingdoms. superliminal to Dragon Age, and we've touched upon some very powerful marketing lessons along the way. I hope you've gotten some value out of this movie. I know I've had a lot of fun recording it for you. But now, before I wrap the movie up, I just want to remind you that none of the things we've talked about will mean anything if you don't take action. I'm talking about relentless, imperfect action. The kind that breaks your heart sometimes and empties your wallets the other times. It's like the girl that you liked in high school who you wanted to ask out but was afraid to do so. You sucked it up, gathered your courage, and just went for it, letting the pieces fall where they may. It's kind of it's the same kind of fortune favors the brave attitude that will get you to success. I don't think there exists a self-made millionaire coward. They all had to take risks and suffer the consequences when things didn't go their way. They all had to dust themselves off and get back up on the horse when they were thrown from the saddle. It'll be no different for you. Relentless and imperfect action will always win the day. So make sure you take this movie and favorite it and share it and save it in a good place. Take the lessons to heart and go forth and conquer. I know you can do it, and we'll see you in the movies. Let's rock!